The galaxy had been quiet for a long time, too quiet. The great Galactic Empire stretched across thousands of systems, ruling with cold order and endless pride. For centuries they believed Earth was gone, a forgotten legend from the ancient times when humans once roamed the stars. To most aliens, Terrans were myths, ghosts of a brutal species that burned too brightly and vanished too soon. But on that day everything changed. It started with static. Deep across the Imperial communication grid, starships reported strange interference. Stations went dark for a few seconds, and then a voice spoke. It wasn't alien, it wasn't synthetic, it was human, calm and firm. "This is the United Terran Command," the voice said. "By order of Earth's Council, the Galactic Empire is forbidden to enter Terran Space." The words froze every officer in every control room. The Empire had no record of a Terran Command, no registry of such a council. Many thought it was a prank, an act of rebellion from one of the border colonies. The Emperor's advisors laughed it off at first, but when they tried to trace the signal, it came directly from the Sol system, the ancient home of humanity. The same world the Empire declared dead 500 years ago. Fleet Marshal Varric, one of the most feared commanders in the Empire, leaned over his holographic map. "Send scouts," he ordered. "If Earth dares speak again, we will silence them ourselves." Within hours, 10 stealth ships were sent toward Sol, designed to pass unseen through any defense field. But halfway through their journey, their transmissions stopped. All 10 ships vanished without a trace. At first, the Empire assumed a black hole or navigation failure. Then, 2 weeks later, one of the lost ships reappeared. Drifting lifeless near the border, the rescue team found the crew frozen in mid-scream. Eyes open, faces pale, no wounds, no burns. But their ship's systems were dead, completely drained. On the main console, a message flashed again and again in red letters. "Terran Space is closed." The news reached the Imperial Senate, and fear began to spread like fire. Rumors turned into panic. Old stories returned, the tales of Earth's wrath, the wars humanity once fought, and the machines they built that could think faster than gods. Some said humans had destroyed themselves. Others whispered they had simply left to prepare. The Emperor demanded proof. "No ghost can challenge an empire," he said coldly. But deep inside, even he felt the weight of dread. The Empire had grown powerful, yes, but it was built on the ruins of the species that once ruled the stars. If humanity truly returned, what would happen to the balance of power? Meanwhile, far from the Senate, in the cold silence of the border, a Terran listening post awoke, a single station. Hidden under the shadows of Neptune's dark orbit, had been silent for centuries. Now its systems hummed with life again, the AI controlling it. Designation Echo 9 opened its transmission channels. "Contact confirmed," it said softly. "Imperial scouts neutralized, on Earth, deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, in the Terran Command's hidden fortress." Admiral Sarah Holt watched the same message. Her silver eyes reflected the holographic screens as she stood among rows of officers. "They broke the quarantine," she said quietly. "So we gave them a warning." One of her captains looked uneasy. "Admiral, the Empire will not ignore this." Sarah nodded. "Good," she replied. "Let them remember who we are." The next day, every screen in the Empire lit up with the same message. Every starship, every station, every colony. The same human voice spoke again, this time with force that echoed in the hearts of millions. "This is Earth. You will not approach our borders. You will not enter Terran Space. This is your only warning." The message lasted just 20 seconds, but it was enough to shake the Empire to its core. Analysts compared energy readings from the signal. It was transmitted from hundreds of relay points across the galactic rim. Simultaneously, that kind of synchronization was impossible for most civilizations. The Empire's scientists tried to decode the transmission, but it used encryption older than their entire civilization. In the taverns and marketplaces, soldiers whispered that humanity had returned with ships invisible to scanners and weapons that could kill without firing a shot. Traders who once laughed at Earth's name now spoke it with fear. And somewhere deep in space, hidden among the dark sectors, massive Terran vessels began to move. Their hulls shimmered like liquid metal. Their engines pulsed with silent blue fire. On the Imperial homeworld, the Emperor gathered his council. "If Earth wants war," he said, "then we will bring it to them." But no one spoke. For in their hearts, they knew, humans never issued empty threats. As the final echoes of the transmission faded, A strange silence filled the galaxy, not the silence of peace but of fear. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, and across the dark void of space, unseen by alien eyes, a single Terran satellite turned toward the Empire's core worlds. Its beacon pulsed once, and then again. "This is Earth's final warning." The Emperor's throne room was silent. The light from the twin suns spilled through crystal walls, casting long shadows across the marble floor. Fleet Marshal Varric stood before the throne, his uniform scorched, his expression tight. He had lost 10 of the Empire's finest ships, and yet no one could tell him how. "Their systems just died," Varric said slowly. It was as if something drained the life out of them. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "And you expect me to believe in ghost stories?" Varric did not answer. He had seen the footage himself. He had watched his ships stop mid-flight, their power cores collapsing as a blue flash swept across their hulls. There had been no explosions, no weapons detected. Just silence. Word spread fast. Across the Empire's colonies, panic brewed. The traitors whispered that humanity had returned. The soldiers mocked them at first, but not for long. Soon, new reports came in. Outposts on the fringe of the Sol border went silent. Then mining colonies lost contact. When Imperial patrols were sent to investigate, they found debris, metal melted and shaped into perfect spheres. No life signs, no transmissions. Only one message etched into the steel. "You were warned." On the Senate floor, noble houses shouted over one another. Some called for total war, others demanded diplomacy. The Emperor struck his staff against the ground. "Enough!" he roared. "We will know who dares insult us." Fleet Marshal Varric bowed. "I will lead the recon myself." He assembled 1,000 ships, the largest recon force in history. The fleet's engines burned like silver comets as they crossed the border into Terran space. For days, they received no resistance, only a strange silence that wrapped around them like fog. Then came the flicker. A shadow moved between the stars, too fast for scanners to lock, then vanished. The communications went static, one by one. The ships disappeared from the tactical grid. Their signals winked out like dying candles. Hours later, 7 ships limped back across the border, their hulls torn, their crews shaken and pale. The recordings they brought were fragmentary, flashes of movement, bursts of white light, enormous metallic shapes gliding through the void. One officer whispered, "They didn't fire on us. They just looked at us and our ships stopped working." The footage ended with a single chilling image, a vast ship hanging in the dark, black as night, with a burning blue insignia on its hull. The letters read, "Iaz Vengeance." The Emperor stared at the name for a long time. "Vengeance," he muttered. "So the Terrans remember." The Senate fell silent. Even the most arrogant nobles could not deny what they saw. It was human technology, but beyond anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. Across the Empire, fear took root. Civilians began to flee border worlds. Merchants refused to enter Terran sectors, and entire trade routes went dark. Some believed humanity had returned as conquerors. Others prayed they were only defending their home. Fleet Marshal Varric, humiliated but alive, stood before the Emperor again. "Your Majesty, they are not the humans we once knew," he said. "They have changed, evolved, maybe ascended." The Emperor rose from his throne, his voice calm but cold. "Then we will remind them who rules the stars." But even as he spoke, the palace lights flickered, the air crackled with static, and a deep, mechanical voice filled the chamber. "This is Terran Command. Your fleet has violated restricted space. This is your second and final warning." The Emperor froze. The voice came from their own internal network, hacked in real time. The communication officers scrambled. But every system went dark. For a long moment, there was only the echo of breathing. Then, as suddenly as it began, the lights returned. The Imperial symbol on the main screen was gone, replaced by a rotating image of Earth, blue, alive and watching. The Emperor clenched his fists. "So be it," he whispered. "If the Terrans want a war of fear, we shall answer with fire." Outside the palace, in the black void of deep space, Terran warships glided silently along the edge of the solar rim. Their engines emitted no light, their presence felt only as whispers on forgotten frequencies. They did not speak, they did not attack, they simply watched, waiting for the Empire's next mistake. And somewhere beyond the reach of any sensor, the flagship EAS Vengeance turned slowly toward the galactic core. Its captain's voice echoed through the command deck. calm and certain. Phase 2 begins now. The 7 surviving Imperial ships drifted back into friendly space, engines crippled, hulls half melted. The crews refused to speak, their logs were corrupted, their memories broken by radiation exposure and something far stranger, psychic interference. Rumors spread like wildfire. The Senate tried to hide the truth, but word leaked out. Humanity was back. In the dim lights of the Emperor's war chamber, Fleet Marshal Varric stood before a new holographic display. It showed the Sol system, glowing bright red. "We have underestimated them," he said quietly. "Their technology is beyond our understanding." The Emperor's jaw tightened. "They're only humans," he snapped. "Flesh and bone can be destroyed." But deep down, even he felt doubt. The evidence was too strong. The Terrans had returned, stronger, faster, and more mysterious than ever, on the other side of the galaxy. A lone Imperial intelligence ship named Silent Blade crept through the darkness near Neptune. Its mission, to find the source of Terran transmissions. The crew was elite, trained in stealth and silence. Their captain, Kalen Drix, was known for his precision. He believed that no secret could hide from the Empire, but he was wrong. When the Silent Blade entered the Terran exclusion zone, the stars dimmed. The ship's sensors picked up gravitational waves unlike anything in known space then. A vast structure emerged from the void, a ring of black steel encircling Neptune. Spinning with light and magnetic storms, Kalen whispered, "What is that?" His science officer trembled. "It's not a station, sir. It's alive." Before Kalen could respond, the ship's system shut down, the lights flickered, and a cold voice filled the bridge. "Unauthorized vessel detected. Identify yourself." Kalen tried to answer. "This is Captain Kalen Drix of the Galactic Empire." The voice interrupted, calm and almost human. "Galactic Empire authorization not recognized. You have entered Terran Space. Your ship will be neutralized." And then, darkness. When Kalen awoke, he was standing in a metallic room filled with silver light. Before him stood a human woman in a dark uniform with glowing eyes. "You are inside the vessel ES Vengeance," she said. Her tone was calm but heavy with authority. "You crossed into forbidden space." Kalen's breath caught. You're human." The woman smiled faintly. "We are what you left behind." He noticed the insignia on her chest. Terran Command, a name the galaxy had forgotten. Over the next hours, Kalen learned fragments of truth. Earth had never fallen. They had hidden beyond the edge of the galaxy, far past known hyperspace routes. For centuries, humanity rebuilt in silence, perfecting machines that merged thought and steel, AI minds that governed entire star systems, humans who could share sight and speech across light years. "We watched," the woman said softly. "We saw your empire enslave worlds that once traded with us. We saw you erase our name from history." She turned toward the holographic display showing the Imperial capital. "And we decided to return," Kalen asked. "Why now?" Her silver eyes met his. "Because you crossed the line." When he tried to speak again, she raised her hand and light surrounded him. "You will remember this," she said, "and you will tell your Emperor." And in a flash, Kalen found himself back on his ship, alone. The Silent Blade floated near the Terran border. His crew was gone, replaced with a single data crystal on his console. When he returned to the Empire, the scientists extracted the data. It contained recordings of massive fleets hidden behind a dark nebula, colossal human dreadnoughts with mirrored hulls and engines that bent gravity. The flagship, ES Vengeance, was said to house a living AI that could command entire fleets without error. The Senate erupted in chaos. Some wanted to surrender. Others demanded preemptive war. Fleet Marshal Varric studied the recordings in silence. He turned to the Emperor and said, "They've built something we cannot understand. They've merged mind, machine, and will." The Emperor's face darkened. "Then we'll build more." But before the meeting ended, every screen in the chamber flickered again. A live broadcast appeared showing Earth's surface, green. Blue and alive, Admiral Sarah Holt appeared, standing tall in front of Terran Command's banner. Her voice carried across every Imperial system. "This is not a declaration of war," she said. "This is a declaration of order. You will not invade, you will not claim, you will not cross. This galaxy remembers what humanity once was. Now it will remember what we have become." The transmission ended, but her words lingered across the stars. The Terran fleet began to move. their ships emerging like shadows from the edge of the void, silent and perfect. The galaxy had awakened something ancient, something human, and for the first time in 10,000 years, the Empire trembled, because the Terrans were no longer myths. They were the storm returning home. The Imperial capital was on edge. The sky above the palace glowed with defense shields. Warships lined orbit like a metallic crown. Every broadcast spoke of the same message. The humans had returned. The Senate demanded an answer. The Emperor wanted revenge. Fleet Marshal Varric wanted the truth. Across the stars, the Terran fleet moved in silence. Their ships appeared and vanished like shadows. They jammed signals, disabled probes, and erased entire sensor grids without firing a single shot. To the Empire, it was humiliation. To humanity, it was justice. On Earth, Admiral Sarah Holt stood before the command screen deep inside the Atlantic fortress. Around her, thousands of operators monitored the outer borders. "The Empire is building fleets near the Centauri line," one officer said. "They plan to retaliate," Sarah nodded slowly. "Then it's time to deliver the message." Moments later, the Terran transmission began. It was broadcast across every major Imperial system, interrupting news, trade channels, even personal comms. The human voice echoed through every home and starship, calm and absolute. "This is Terran Command. You violated the Sol boundary. You enslaved our colonies, destroyed our legacy, and erased our name. Now hear this. You will not enter Terran Space again." The broadcast ended with Earth's symbol, a blue and white sphere surrounded by silver wings. It lasted only 30 seconds, but across the galaxy it caused chaos. Some fell to their knees in fear. Others shouted in defiance, but all listened. Fleet Marshal Varric watched the transmission replay on the main holoscreen. "They are warning us," he said. "They don't want war. They want distance." The Emperor glared at him. "Distance?" he snapped. "They humiliated us before the entire galaxy." Varric did not reply. He had seen what the Terrans could do. He knew their silence was not weakness. It was control. Hours later, the Imperial Armada entered Terran Space again. They wanted to prove their strength, to show that the Empire feared no one. But the moment they crossed the border, their systems shut down. All power vanished, even life support. Ships drifted helplessly as light flooded the void, and then they saw them. Thousands of Terran warships surrounded the Imperial fleet. Sleek and silent, their hulls shimmered like liquid glass. Their engines pulsed with blue energy that bent space around them. No sound, no radio chatter, just presence. A single ship approached. The flagship EAS Vengeance, massive enough to blot out stars. Its comms opened and Admiral Sarah Holt appeared, standing with her hands behind her back. "This is your warning," she said. "No Terran ship will fire, but if you cross again, your empire will end." Her voice was steady, her expression unreadable. "The galaxy remembers the wars you started," she continued. "Now you will remember who taught you fear." The Empire's commander tried to speak, but the transmission cut him off. Every weapon aboard the Imperial fleet vanished from their scanners. Terran ships had simply disabled them. The Imperial crews could do nothing but watch as their mighty fleet drifted powerless before Earth's silence. The Admiral raised her hand and all Terran ships emitted a blinding pulse. The Imperial ships were thrown backward, their systems fried. But their crews unharmed. The pulse faded. And Sarah's voice came once more. "We don't seek conquest, only remembrance. This is Earth's border. Cross it again, and you will not return." And then the Terran fleet vanished, leaving behind only silence across the Empire. The transmission replayed endlessly. Every citizen, soldier, and leader heard it. Some wept, others raged. But no one denied the truth. Earth had spoken with power greater than any army. In the Emperor's palace, the lights flickered again. The same words appeared across every royal screen. "This is your final warning." The Emperor clenched his fists. "They dare defy me," he whispered. "They dare dictate the will of the stars." Fleet Marshal Varric turned slowly. "No, Your Majesty," he said. "They don't dictate the stars. They are the stars now." Far beyond the reach of the Empire's eyes, the Terran fleet regrouped near Jupiter. Silent, watching, ready, the humans had spoken their warning. But deep within the void, their war engines still glowed. Humanity was awake again, and the galaxy could feel their heartbeat. And somewhere in the dark, a soft transmission whispered through the static, repeating endlessly across the void, "This is Earth's final warning. The galaxy had gone quiet. No broadcasts, no threats, no movement from the Terran border. The Empire's fleets pulled back, licking their wounds. Worlds once loud with pride now whispered in fear. Even the stars seemed to shine a little colder. On the Imperial capital, the Senate hall was filled with tension. "They cannot be allowed to dictate our borders," one senator shouted. "We are the Empire." But the others looked away. They remembered the helpless silence of their fleet, the power of Terran ships that never fired a single shot. They remembered the calm voice that froze every soldier's heart. Fleet Marshal Varek stood at the center of the hall, his face tired. "They warned us," he said. "And they showed mercy," the Emperor's voice thundered from his throne. "Mercy?" he snapped. "They humiliated us before every world that swears loyalty to this crown." Varek met his gaze. "They could have ended us," he said softly. "But they didn't." The Emperor turned away, walking toward the great windows overlooking the stars. "You think they'll stop here?" he said bitterly. "Humans don't stop. They dominate." His hand tightened around the railing. "And one day they'll come for us. But beyond the Imperial border, humanity had no interest in conquest. In the black expanse of Sol's outer defenses, the Terran fleet floated in formation, vast and silent. Their ships shone like silver blades under distant suns. The EAS Vengeance drifted at the center, its core humming with ancient power. Inside, Admiral Sarah Holt stood before a massive holographic map. "Status of the perimeter?" she asked. "Stable," replied her aide. "No incursion since the last warning," Sarah nodded, her gaze distant. "They'll test us again," she said quietly. "It's in their nature," her second-in-command frowned. "And when they do?" Sarah's lips curved slightly, not in cruelty, but in certainty. "Then they'll learn what lies beyond the final warning." In the quiet of her command deck, the lights dimmed, revealing the Earth in the distance. Blue and peaceful, children played under clear skies. Farmers tended crops, oceans sparkled in sunlight. Humanity had suffered, evolved, and endured, and now they protected that peace with the strength of gods. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Imperial Palace, the Emperor walked through a private chamber lined with ancient banners. His personal guard remained outside as he approached a glowing console. A distorted hologram appeared, an old admiral, scarred and trembling. "Your Majesty," the hologram said, "we found something in the outer archives." "What?" the Emperor demanded. "A fragment of an old Terran transmission, predating the Empire itself." The Emperor leaned closer. The hologram flickered and then played the ancient human voice. "To whoever finds this message," it said, "we leave you a warning and a promise. Do not mistake our silence for absence. We are patient, not gone, and when the stars forget our name, we will return." The hologram faded, leaving the Emperor staring at his reflection. For the first time, he felt something unfamiliar, doubt. He turned to the stars, whispering, "What have we awakened?" Back in Terran Command, Echo 9, the AI that once guarded the border, watched silent data streams ripple through the void. Its digital voice whispered softly through the network. "Intrusions detected. Imperial frequencies active near the Perseus arm." Sarah Holt looked up, her eyes calm. "So it begins again," she said. "History never learns." Outside, the Terran fleet shifted formation, engines ignited, their glow cutting through darkness. Thousands of ships prepared for movement. Not for war, but for deterrence. They would defend peace through strength, the same way their ancestors once fought for survival. And as the galaxy held its breath, one final message echoed through the deep. Broadcast on every known frequency, "This is Earth Command. We sought peace, not power. We warned you once. Do not make us warn you again." The stars fell silent. The Empire waited, the galaxy watched, and in the vast, endless night, the Terran fleet glowed like a sleeping storm, calm for now, but ready, forever guarding the home that the galaxy had dared to forget. "This," the message whispered once more, "is Earth's final warning.